Meeting of City Council, please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Missouri. Here. Councilmember Clausen. Councilmember Alexander. Here. Councilmember Conklin.
Here.
Councilmember Brinker.
Here.
Councilmember Brandon. Here. Mayor Long.
Here. Approval of the minutes from the March 2nd meeting.
A second.
Motion floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri. Yes. Councilmember Clausen.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander. Yes. Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon. Yes. Mayor Long.
Yes. Public comments and requests. Comments from residents and city taxpayers. Does anyone have anything that's not already on the agenda? Four B, use of Triangle Park and East Main Street closure for Halloween parade, October 24th.
This is the second reading of the annual request from the Lock Haven Fire Department for the use of Triangle Park and the closure of East Main Street from Henderson to First for the annual Halloween parade, which will take place on October 24th, 2026.
Do I have a motion?
I move approval.
Second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Questions or comments on the motion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri. Yes. Councilmember Clausen.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon. Yes. Mayor Long.
Yes. Four C, 2026 event request from downtown Lock Haven.
Right, this is the request from downtown Lock Haven for their events for this year, and we do have Rick Scholes here from downtown Lock Haven. Do you want to speak on any of them, or do you want me to list them?
Well, if you have any questions, our first, the last Friday event is, May. And we have a live band and, the theme will be America's birthday, very patriotic. June 13th is the big deal for that. That's Best of Clinton County. We have two major bands playing on East Main Street during that Saturday, and the typical festival and the parade at the end of the day. So that should be a very exciting one day in combination with what's going on with Viper and all the flying in. So I think it'll be a very exciting summertime, and I have a number of events on there
Yeah.
as well.
So the final Friday events, May 29th, June 13th, well, that's Best of Clinton County, July 31st, August 28th, and then September 25th, and then Haven Holidays for November 28th. And that is that.
Request.
Thank you.
Oh, second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Questions or comments on the motion?
I've got, question. What else is being done on the other final Fridays? Because and I know you're new, I'm not criticizing you at all. That I've gone down there during final Fridays, most of the businesses close because there's less traffic during those events than what they're normally with the, it's actually, I'm not saying it hurts every business down.
No, and there is that issue with a few of the businesses. In some conversations, we're going to try and talk about some additional activities on that main drag, first couple of blocks there on East Main, to get more foot traffic in that area.
I mean, in the sense that the Best of Clinton County, I was there last year, that just everything was booming. If we could get every event we have like that, that'd be amazing. The other thing I wanted to point out too, I heard complaints from businesses downtown that Main Street is closed too much. We've got Lock Haven jammed one weekend after the final Friday in July, are we closing Main Street too much?
Well, just to go back to the street closures in July, there may be a change in that because. The university still hasn't provided us information about the boxing event that was so successful last summer. And they're still working on donors. And so they didn't have a date in July yet. But probably in discussions with the downtown Lock Haven board, if there was a boxing event, we would do something in conjunction with that and not have final Friday in July, because that's just,
Combine the two together.
yes. But I won't note that for,
And it's only for 4 hours. I mean, it's not like it's being closed for 3 days. It's just that, just the evening.
it's not an all
Yeah,
day
it's just
thing.
the evening for 4
Right.
days.
Well, but I mean, they start closing, most of the shops close up around 1 or 2 when that happens, it's the parking. There's no parking on the. I'm talking about that.
I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying it's a 4-hour window, and if there's stuff going on downtown, there is lots of parking off Main Street. And, you know, hopefully folks would support the downtown businesses and they would support the downtown organization. It's a 4-hour window and it's only one Friday a month.
Any other questions? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Clausen,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yeah.
Councilmember Brinker,
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 4D, closure of North Vesper Street by Uncle Albert's for various dates in April through November for street.
This is a street closure request from Uncle Albert's and Mark Carkner for the closure of North Vesper Street from Main Street to Water Street with through traffic available on Jordan's Alley for April 25th, June 13th and 27th, July 11th and 25th, August 1st and 15th, August 2nd and 3rd, which would be with homecoming for Lock Haven, and then November 28th, which goes with Haven Holidays. November 28th is on the fence, but you wanted to get that in just in case. And then this was for cornhole tournaments and I think live music for one of the events, and he does know about noise and ordinance as well. The 2 AM is just for him to clean up after they close.
You said there will be alley access, correct, like we did down here with this temporary stop
Yep.
sign thing. Okay.
And the rain dates are the day, each day after, so the Sunday following the event, if it rains.
So wish council,
I move approval.
I vote.
once we get a second, maybe we get into questions, go around a second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second now, a question.
So you said homecoming weekend, October 2nd, is that why that's a Friday and everything else was a Saturday?
Yes,
Okay, that wasn't a typo. A lot of closures.
Well, the 28th is in addition to the Haven holidays, and I just wonder if that's not an issue. With people aren't gonna be, there's gonna be a parade, and there's gonna be all kinds of stuff going on downtown. And are we gonna be able to deal with Vesper, that side of Vesper? Yes, Vesper water being closed as well as Main Street being closed. I mean, I realize that makes it a challenge anyway. I just think that might be one thing too many.
One of them also is on the the June 13th is the other one. That's the.
It's on the same as Vesper.
Yeah.
That's
I think that he wanted to be part of those like festivities.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just that it's a management question.
So my question to our chief, how would that affect our traffic flow? In town if we were to shut that down, Main Street down,
And then Vesper.
And Vesper.
Vesper and all that?
It's going the whole way from Main to Water.
I think it's something we can work with, like, I mean, he may have a bit of a challenge, but it's something, we haven't done that.
No, but
Not that-
may I say, Best of Clinton County is closed to Mill Street, so it wouldn't be any different than with Jams closing that section of Grove.
Right.
So it wouldn't be a detour anyway. So just food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, try it, what, you know, what's the worst thing that happens is it's chaos. Chaos.
In the alley. Yeah, and the alley is still available for food traffic, so.
Haven't you said?
You said what's worse than that.
I don't know why I said that out loud. Anyway.
Okay, so we do have a motion and a second. Any other questions about it, comments?
I just have one
Yes.
question. Does Uncle Albert still have that little building where they,
Yeah, there was an issue about
is that still out there? I don't know I don't know how that ever got approved, or is there a way that that could be put on wheels? So it's not on the sidewalk? Like 365, I mean, cause
My personal opinion is that it should be something that is movable and it shouldn't be kept on the sidewalk. If he wants to keep it there from week to week because he's having consecutive events, he should have to bag a meter and pay to have that space
Yeah.
reserved for his trailer with that on it.
it's, yeah, cause it's,
It does, where he has positioned it, it does vary, meet the ADA requirements for passage on the sidewalk. But that's something that in order to have something on the sidewalk, just like the sidewalk cafes, which are a little bit different because council voted back in 2020 to allow city staff to make those determinations if they met certain criteria. Anything else that's placed on the sidewalk is to come before council, for council approval.
right,
So I think you as the governing body have the ability to say, we're not approving that as part of street closures for the sidewalk cafe.
yeah, I don't have a problem with it out there for those events,
Correct.
but I would like to see that removed. When those events aren't taking place.
Or at least not being stored on the sidewalk.
Yeah, it's just another
We had
building,
received some complaints last year.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know how we address that. Do we address that here?
Well, I think we do it as part of this.
Yeah.
I mean, we're approving this, so if we go ahead and approve this as is, we're telling them you can have that.
Yeah.
I think that we need to, if we want to change that, we need to make that clear.
Yeah.
Through this approval. So whatever the motion is, needs to include whatever. Now, they already have a motion, but if you're suggesting
This will require a second reading, right? 'Cause it's
it will
three-
require a second result. Yes. Does include the street closure, so.
I have a question. Do you remember how many weekends they asked for if they closed last year?
I don't, but it was similar, and it's about the same as Old Corners.
But they can ask for 2 a month
Yeah.
all year round.
Right, that's part of what we passed.
Right.
How does it coincide with what the old order is doing? That's the other question, and is there two things happening at once, and then we got to.
There's one date, the July 25th, is an Old Corner date, but they are on. It's up to you guys.
So we have the issue of the buildings, the little building. How we're gonna deal with that, and then
And would you make the motion?
Yeah, no,
No, I made the motion, are you? Yeah, I'm good with moving, if we need to put something in there about, you know, Mark and Uncle Albert will work with city staff to ensure that the building is in an acceptable location on weeks that they're not
Off the
events.
sidewalk.
Yeah,
Like I said, if he rented a parking space, the owner of the Old Corner, for example, when he's had different events, that have called for him to have more storage as far as cooler goes, he brings a trailer in and he rents a parking space in the back parking lot. He comes to the chief and gets meter bags and pays for it, so it's not that we're telling him he can't do it, but just make him follow the same procedure that we do.
consistent.
Yeah.
So that's what you're proposing to
yeah,
change
it's
the
just
motion to?
change the motion to have Mark and Uncle Al's work with city staff, be it the chief or code enforcement, to ensure that that building is in the appropriate location when it's not in use for an event.
And you're seconding that,
Yeah, yes.
you were the second.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we have motion for a second, any further questions or discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Clausen,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 4E, use of Triangle Park by Susquehanna Valley Big Twins Motorcycle Club, March 21st.
Brad Darby and Susquehanna Valley Big Twins Motorcycle Club are requesting the use of Triangle Park on March 21st from 12 to 5 for a bunny collection for their annual bunny run. They'll be collecting Easter themed bunnies and stuffed animals for donation at Triangle Park.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion for a second, questions or comments on this motion? Okay, call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Clausen,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 4F, use of William T. Piper Airport for the 2026 Sentimental Journey Fly-In.
We have Alan Miller here, to speak on this request.
Good evening. If you just a couple minutes, I'd like to give you a brief explanation of where we are, who we are, and where we've been. You know, Sentimental Journey Fly-In is the fly-in that brings aviation to Lock Haven once a year, celebrating the heritage of aviation and Piper aircraft in Lock Haven and Clinton County. This is an event that started in the 1980s in our heyday. At times we estimated we brought 600 individual aircraft back to the city during the week. It's been going on for quite a few years, and in fact, this year will be our 40th anniversary, and we're trying to make a big deal of it. That being said, yes, it is known that our organization has tapered down over the years. But as you may recall from last year, we have effectively an all new board of directors. I'm here with the delegation from our board and a few other members as well. And we've got a lot of things going on. We're taking a lot of steps to reinvigorate the organization. Our goal is we need to bring more pilots in. We need to bring more people from the town down to visit the airport, learn what it's about, learn about aviation. And in fact, good for the health of the airport, good for the health of our organization. And with that, it's good for the city as well. We estimate that every one of these aircraft comes in. We have a pilot comes in and he's coming in for the week, flies in his aircraft, food, lodging, fuel for his aircraft. Every pilot that comes in his aircraft, we estimate he spends $1,000 here. And that's not counting our members that drive in and camp, other members that may have come and visit just for the day. So we do have a fairly significant impact on the local economy, and we want to grow with that. We mentioned this year, we've got a lot of new activities that we're working on. We've got some new structures, a new focus. We're also trying to expand into Saturday further. Things that tapered back by Saturday morning, a lot of the pilots were going home to recuperate for the weekend. However, Saturday is the day that the locals can come down and see the airplane. That's when they don't work. So we're planning a lot of activities. We're trying to stretch things, and it may take a couple of years to actually really build it and grow it. We plan to have a lot more activities going on Saturdays. We're looking at hopefully a couple of capstone activities Saturday evening. We're still working on sponsorship for them in details, so I'm not going to put anything out there until we have it absolutely confirmed. But it's going to be some neat activities going on, and we do want to coordinate with downtown Lock Haven. Fantastic opportunity for partnership here to work together for both of us. With that, we'd like to invite all council, please stop down and visit, see what's going on, stop in, introduce yourself. One of the things that I'm pushing for very hard that let's say I initiated, and I'd really like to see this even more successful this year. Friday is going to be Youth Aviation Career Day. At this point, at the moment, we have tentative commitments from 20 different organizations or recruiters that are planning to visit, representing almost all the branches of the armed forces, aviation colleges, light flight, state police, a whole variation of anyone that has aspects of aviation career, airlines. We're bringing them in and giving them an opportunity to meet with youth, as well as we're also going to have a seminar, about an hour seminar, giving about a dozen different individuals 3 to 5 minutes to talk about themselves, their career, what they're doing, and just explain to these kids the different aspects of aviation, because there's so many different aspects, right down to FEA, working as an air traffic controller. From that, we'll open it up into question and answer for them. So we're trying to do anything we can. And of course, entry onto the ground will be free for use on Friday. And with that, at the moment, we have commitments for a state police helicopter and light flight, and we're still hoping to get a military helicopter in here. You might recall last year we had a lot of plans. We were planning the same thing, few helicopters planned. Yeah, with the new board, maybe it was a little bit of a blessing in disguise, but the first part of the week was effectively rained down. We worked hard to publicize things, get word out. In past years, they've gotten to the point through the week, they might get 100 aircraft on the field. We worked hard to publicize, let people know that a lot of new activities, we're gonna have do things new and different. We were rained out and we only had 2 airplanes that were able to fly in with the forward weather until late on Thursday afternoon. Between Friday and Saturday, we had just under 100 aircraft come in those 2 days alone. So I believe we were successful there. Sadly, all 3 of the helicopters that we had scheduled were unable to make it. Both Life Flight and state police were called out, and unfortunately, I don't know what happened with the military. They lost some people. But again, we're working harder. We got an earlier start this year, and we're hoping to do new, bigger, and better things this year. So what we're requesting is use of the airport for our event, June 9th through 13th. We'll be set up on the south side of the field. And again, if we're successful in our marketing strategies, we have a strong social media strategy going on right now. And the consultant that we're working with has told us that in the first 25 days alone, we had 45,000 engagements on social media. And an engagement is not just looking at the page, that is forwarding it, liking it, or interacting with it somehow. So we have positive signs. So we're hoping to double the number of aircraft we've got coming. We comfortably feel we have room for about 150 aircraft on the south side of the field. Our aim is to get 200 aircraft this year. If we do that, we're going to be scrambling. We can use all the volunteers we can get. We're going to be parking aircraft on the north side of the field. So it's going to be a challenge for our organization, but we are planning for it. Regardless, we're asking for use of the airport from June 9th to 13th. And in addition to that, we do have 2 fundraisers. Spring and fall, we have a pancake breakfast. Sunday, May 3rd, and Sunday, September 20th. If we would like to use hangar number 1 for those 2 events.
I move approval.
Again. A motion and a second. Any questions for the organization?
Thanks, Alan.
It's so nice to hear that you guys are trying to, do different things and try to get more people in. I appreciate the fact that you're trying to, revamp it and get it back up.
Well, thank you. We really enjoy what we do, and it's one of those situations, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It's good for us, it's good for the airport, and we really appreciate your support. Again, please stop down now. I'll extend a complimentary wristband entry to any of the council members you can.
Thank you.
And the last thing I will.
Or made the motion, Micah made the second.
Sorry, thank you.
Last thing I will mention, I haven't seen the schedule yet, but last year there was a run that occurred on the same day as our breakfast. I don't know if that's scheduled.
It's happening again this year.
Or,
It's happening again this year. We wondered if there had been any conversations. You all need to talk to one another before,
yes,
so you get your traffic patterns.
yeah, if someone could forward me their contact information so we can coordinate.
I think Dave Harger is right sitting back there.
Okay.
They're gonna run and get some,
Already done.
they're gonna get pancakes beforehand and carb up.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alan.
A motion for a second, call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Clausen.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 4G, closure of East Water Street, May 24th. And East Main Street, August 7th through 8th. Clinton County Arts Council.
Clinton County Arts Council is requesting street closure for Memorial Day concert and LH Jams, and Steve is here and has provided council with a packet of information regarding these events.
I'll make a motion.
Brian with approval.
No motion.
Okay, I didn't really.
Second. Yeah.
I second it.
Thank you. Steve, go ahead.
We're good, I guess.
No, we haven't taken the vote yet.
I don't wanna mess it up. Yeah, this is the second year we've collaborated with the VFW. We think it's a great event and, yeah, pretty much as outlined, we'll put up the perimeter for the alcohol open container. And, you guys can handle the paperwork and, I think everything's set, right, Dave? We're good. They're Well, Casey, will you be able to do the PennDOT closure on this and, jams or?
We'll chat.
Okay.
Any questions?
Just to clarify, is this for both of the closures?
This will be, if we make the motion this way, it'll be for both closures.
Yeah.
Unless somebody wants to split it. we
You
can-
want to say anything about jams?
Yeah, obviously, this is our 11th year. We've collaborated with National Canoe and Kayak Races again this year, as we did in 2023, so we expect big crowds downtown. It'll take place August the 6th, 7th, and the 8th. Obviously, the 6th is, we don't need anything from the city, that'll be an off-site location. Friday evening, pretty much as we've done in the past, close the street at 3 o'clock and things start happening around 6 with music. But a few vendors will set up. The biggest thing that we've talked about, and we spoke about that last year, really was the closure of Willard's Alley. That still is an issue for me, that we have traffic coming into an open festival area. If anybody's been to jams, you know how there's a lot of things that are going on. You've got kids running around, so we certainly request having that closed again this year, and chalk artist on Grove Street, and again, open container. If anybody has any questions, we'll probably answer.
Yeah, we did not approve the continuation of Willard's Alley or the closure of Willard's Alley last year.
That's,
We
yeah,
did
we
not.
put stop signs.
And that's still a concern. Well, we never had the stop signs.
Oh,
We never got them.
My understanding is we do not have the lighted stop signs.
No, and it was an issue last year with traffic.
It was an issue.
Coming into the crowd, so. We spoke earlier and we'd be more than happy, the police department, public works, I'm sure, to facilitate whatever's needed. I think it's a matter of safety, getting that section closed down, because we can't have cars coming into the crowd.
So we do have to keep in mind those people in the city that do not participate in this event, these events.
Rick, if we move it back 50 feet, where they can, we'll get a permission from the Jerry's Army and Navy, I don't know who lives there now. You can exit, get back on Church Street right there, if they come down the alley. And then behind Johnson's Beauty Salon, we can put a barrier there, then they can go down that alley, because last year they had barriers on both sides, the cars were running straight through. And there was people that were going from the jams to the old corner, and that was dangerous. I mean, seriously, there was people that were walking kids and stuff. Absolutely, I just we don't want them not to go down the alley, we just felt that section right here going across is crazy. There wasn't any stop signs, sorry.
I understand. My concern is people that do not participate in these events, but know their roads, use that alley as a way to get around. If we bring them, if they're coming up the alley towards Grove Street and we turn them back onto Church, now they're making a loop. And they're not getting to where they're going. And somehow we need to, if this is what we're gonna do, and I'm not in favor of it, but if this is what we're gonna do, then we need to have significant plans. Jams needs to provide somebody in that alley as secure to direct traffic.
We'll put a sign, we'll put a big sign up and put it on, we'll put the arrows so they can know where to turn back on the Church Street, but that's.
I understand. All right, that's my way.
No, it's valid because we received a lot of complaints before we did that last year. From people who live there and first of all, thank you for jams. It's fantastic. I don't want to put that down anyway, but you know, people whose property, because they're back there and they get down the alley, they figure out they can't get through now. They're turning around on their property. They're, you know, that's the kind of complaints we get, and they're part of the city too. And we have to think about that. We thought we had something worked out last year. Obviously, we weren't able to put the stop signs in that we made part of the.
Right, I was gonna say, I thought we had those stop signs when we made that.
I thought we did too. I thought that's what that was about, was that we were gonna have stop signs there, make sure that people knew they needed to stop and so on, that. If that didn't happen, well, yeah, I can see where there's a safety issue,
For sure.
that people just think they're gonna slip on through. So, this before us right now, we have a motion on the floor in a second.
And this would require, this is only the first reading, right? Correct. So this would require a second reading. So we have. Make a motion that we're going to approve it and talk with police and public works over the next 2 weeks in order to figure out the best solution.
Actually, it'll be 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
more time.
To figure out the best solution for Willard's Alley with equipment we have and appropriate.
But you certainly can make that motion.
Did I make the original motion? Okay, then let's do it. Let's do it that way, that we approve this with the knowledge that we need to come up with a solution for Willard's Alley.
Who seconded that? Are you willing to accept that with your second?
No. I think the chief has spoken. I think he likes it close. I'm gonna go with the chief on this.
All right, so we're back to have a motion, I have a second. I have a second, that motion.
That motion, and I'm sorry, Chief, what was your position that you were okay with it? You wanted it closed?
I do, and the reason being is safety. If
Okay,
you're gonna have an event where there's gonna be pedestrians on a street at a four-way intersection, it needs to be closed. Because you're just risking the possibility of somebody coming down that alley and driving into the street and hitting somebody.
yeah.
And I think it's just far too much of a risk to leave it open. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Okay, then I have to go with the chief on this one. We want to adjust it as is with the closure of Willard's, because.
Okay, so the motion is to approve this with that alley closed, traffic not able to go through Grove Street at that intersection. Do I have a second to that? I have a second to that, okay. We're all clear on what the motion is, right? Okay, call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Clausen,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
No.
Councilmember Brinker,
Yes.
Councilmember Brand,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
No. It passes. There will be a second reading. Oh. 4H, use of Triangle Park for One Nation Under God ceremony on May 17th.
Joyce Bucker and the Clinton County Ministerium are requesting use of Triangle Park on May 17th, 2026, from 1 to 4 p.m. for a rededication ceremony honoring the national motto, One Nation Under God, which will coincide with national observance taking place in Washington. And this includes the use of electricity for sound systems. And she's here as well.
You want to? Go ahead.
I do have, paperwork I can pass that with you. See, there is kind of like, she had read, there is a national event taking, at the same time in Washington DC, where most of our, representatives will be attending. So we were hoping that maybe somebody from the local area would be attend with me. Okay. This is just something, it's a community thing, basically, that we're trying to put together. It's the One Nation, it's the rededication of the One Nation under God, which was issued, I think it was 1948. And they're having a full day on May 17th in Washington DC from like, I think 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 at night. And so my husband and I were going to go, we were going to go on a bus, but we thought what we would do is just bring it here and have our community basically coincide, I think that would coincide with what was going down in Washington. I think the first part of that, I put like a mock agenda because without your approval, I can't start any committees. Okay, so what I did is I gave you a basic agenda underneath there. The top part of it is like an announcement that might be in a newspaper. And the back part is what they're calling for is a rededication, and which everyone in Washington DC will be signing. So we have a copy of what they're doing in Washington DC on the very last page. Any questions?
Will there be anything set up down there for this?
I think we'll probably have a sound system,
Pardon me?
a sound system,
Okay,
and have people in the advertisement, will have people bring their own chairs. The other thing that I didn't put on there, and I didn't know if we needed some sort of permit, is that we were going to try to get donations for water, because that is from 1 to 4, and it's May 17th. We don't know what the weather's going to be about like. So if it's that length of time, we'd like to be able to offer people free water.
they would like to make a motion.
Second.
Motion floor and a second. So all the most of the chairs, water, and the PA system, right? All right. Motion floor and a second. Any questions or comments? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Clausen.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 4I, use of Zendale Park, revive outdoors for youth trail run.
Right, this is the second year for this request. I pulled up the map. It is unchanged from last year. But it goes, it'll be on September 5th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a youth trail run, beginning at Dirty Dabbers Pavilion. And then it follows Park Road and then it goes onto Creekside, right at the bottom of the reservoir, across the field to Keller's Bench, and then back down Park Road. So it's a short little loop, meant for, a little beginner race. And this will be the second year of the race.
I move approval.
Motion,
Second.
motion for a second. Questions or comments? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Clausen.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Any other?
We have no.
Mayor Long.
Oh.
I'm sorry, yeah, you can have something else, and I.
Just one item that I failed to mention, within our written request that we presented, we mentioned that we're working to have some static displays of helicopters. Within the written request, we requested the use of the fenced area for those helicopters and possibly some other activities this year as well. I failed to bring that to your attention when I spoke for. That considered within scope of request.
Within the fenced area,
Yes,
maybe an issue with start of construction of the solar field.
okay,
Can we have a conversation about that with timing?
okay,
Back to you.
okay, very good. Great, thank you.
Thank you. All right, unfinished business. 5A, Lockhaven Police Building bidding update.
This is, as we talked about briefly at the end of the last meeting, the bids for the Lock Haven Police Building project were opened on February 19th. The results were broken into 4 contracts: general construction, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing. The electrical came in at $746,115, mechanical at $126,333, and plumbing at $201,900. The general construction was $3,365,980 for a total low bid of $4,440,328. The electrical, mechanical, plumbing bids were all very acceptable to the architects and to city staff. We actually have very good prices for those. We would like to hold those bids, we can hold them for 60 days without extending, so we have until April 20th. For making any formal extensions. But city staff would like to request that the general construction contract be rebid and rebid with the revised scope. We went back to the drawing board, which seems like the 7th time, to cut things from this project that, I don't know, at this point even seems a little cushy at all, but, we're really trying to make it happen. So we cut some things, adjusted some things, actually had, conversations with Public Works on what they can do as far as the water and sewer lines, some digging, some sidewalk work, things like that. So the revised scope, and on the next page, I have a memo from Buchard Horn Architects. There's a list of things that to be removed. I will say that there have been some added to that list since this was provided to you, but they estimate potential cost savings between 600,000 to 750,000. And like I said, we added a couple more things to that. With that, with the rebidding, we're hoping for that reduced cost and also gives us a little more time to figure out some funding, some gap funding, which we had a conversation with Mark Long today of Senator Dush's office. He actually toured the facility earlier this afternoon. And talking with Representative Borowitz's office, and at the federal level with Senator Fetterman. All of those aids for funding opportunities to kind of offset the cost. So in a roundabout way, we're adjusting, asking for the rebid. The rebid would be a period of 30 days, a quick turnaround, which would not delay us any further. We're still in the period that we start construction by the end of May, still have it completed by the end of the what's needed for the local share grant account grant, which is our closest funding deadline that we're dealing with. And yeah, with that, we'll get the bids back April 15th, and then I will be awarding or potential award for your consideration at the April 20th council meeting.
Discussion?
In here, the funding, just so that it's very clear, the funding we do have. If we don't utilize this for a new police station, what happens to that funding?
For the local share account, that one, as I mentioned, is the closest contract end time for us. So if there's any leeway with that, ideally for building a new building is probably a year contract time. This contract ends June 30th, 2027. So if we push it any further, that contract will be end, and we can't do that, and we cannot extend the end of this grant contract. Already asked, said no. The USDA community facilities, I'm sorry, the local share account was 500,000. The USDA community facilities from Senator Casey appropriations, that's $1 million. That one is the most flexible. The contract period technically started September of 2025 and will last until September of 2020 or 2030. Construction must start within a year of the grant obligation. It can be extended for the start, but it must be completed within that 5-year timeline. So by the 2030. We did say the use of funds will be used to construct a new police station. And that documents do provide the 49 East Church Street location as the address. But there are processes to move forward if you get a revision in the scope and everything like that. I will say with a federal program, that is a lot of time and effort, and if it means anything with the architects or staff time involved, that's cost incurred. And then the last bit we have is the 2021 A note, which is just about 2.1 million. And we have dedicated that amount with Northwest Bank for the new police building. The bond council requires that if it's not used for the police building, specifically this scope, this is why we had to get permission to bid from council by the end of 2025. We kind of certified that with the bank. If it's not used for that project, the balance must be repaid to Northwest, and the interest gained from the borrowing, since it was drawn, must be paid to the IRS. Right now, that is $35,225. The interest that is. So basically, if this project does not continue as it's scoped right now, we will lose $2.6 million of funding that we have on the table right now for this project, and possibly eat into, if not lose the $1 million from USDA. So we're in a tight situation. City staff has been working to fill the gaps, cutting down the scope, getting more funding, figuring out what we can do to make this project happen. We feel it's a necessity. We've been using it for recruitment, retention for years, and it's just a poor reflection of the police that the police department means so much to this community, and we've heard it a bunch of times about 24/7 police coverage and wanting that. And if there's not enough officers on the force, simply we can't do that. And I think anyone would want to come to a clean, ADA compliant, equitable department.
I think to be clear too, Abby, I think sometimes within the talking about things, we all assume everybody that's listening at home knows what we're saying. When you're talking about the money from USDA, the $1 million and the $500,000 from the local share account, those are grants, those are gifts to the city of Lock Haven. That is money that is our taxpayer dollars from the federal and state governments that are coming back to the city as a gift. That $1.5 million does not have to be repaid to anyone. That is a gift to the people of the city of Lock Haven. It's our tax dollars at work coming back to our area. Just so we're clear that that is not part of a loan or borrowing or anything like that. That is money
Correct.
designated for this project being given to the residents of the city of Lock Haven.
Correct. And added to that, the 2021 A note is at 1.33% interest. So we will not get a better deal than that more recently. So
Question, you talked about the grant seeking projection with state Fed, those entities. If we rebid in 30 days, will we have a dollar figure from them in 30 days?
we will not from as far as the Senator Dush. Mark today mentioned that we get the bid numbers to him as soon as it's done, and they can have maybe some figures to us. It's just not a tight turnaround or a quick turnaround for them. I think, and these two work here as well, so correct me if I'm misleading, but Senator Dush is very supportive of the public safety sector and things that are necessary. And by us cutting some things, we're showing our good faith, and we're not having a cushy Taj Mahal building. But he's not able to give us a figure in that time. But that can certainly be pushed on our end. I'm just not sure of the gap at that point, so we don't have enough to negotiate on, I guess, if that makes sense.
And is Dutch the only potential finances or grant money that we could be getting here in this time frame?
Yes, Representative Berwitz, the state
Same
funding,
as the state, yeah.
correct, state funding is the most flexible. I was told to kind of fade away from federal only because it goes through the appropriations, they don't have any other aspects, and that goes with the budget, so it takes a lot longer.
Okay.
But yeah, state is the best.
And we can still use the 2.1 on this building, correct? As
No,
long as it's part of the police station.
we cannot, because of with the notice to proceed, the permission to bid at the end of the year, we certified it for the Lock Haven Police Building project. And that was dedicated in our budget to the Lock Haven Police Building this entire time, since we've only used the portion for the roof of this building, and we got the go-ahead to explore the Lock Haven Police Building. We've been using the remainder of that borrowing for this project as internal budget of what we're looking for.
So we used a portion of it for the roof of this building. They allowed that, but now we're not allowed to use the rest of it to.
No, when we gave the approval, we basically put it in that place.
There's no way to re-look at that. This is my concern, and I'm just gonna be flat out honest. This has gone on long enough. You guys want a new space, we wanna give you a new space. Where do we start? Because this has gone on way too long. I would rather see there be some sort of something going on for, even if it's in this building now versus waiting, rebidding, waiting, and rebidding. I feel like we've been here long enough. It's time to move on to something here.
I
So
agree.
much done by now.
I agree. May I? So we are moving. We are moving. That's what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is be as fiscally responsible as possible. I know there's been conversation after conversation of trying to the deficit between what we have and what we need to build this. We've spoken to the architects. We've knocked things out of this building to the tune of $750,000. We're trying to narrow that margin so we don't burden the taxpayers or burden the city with any,
Right.
a short.
So I do have a couple of questions regarding that because, in the list of things that you guys are willing to negotiate is remove lockers from the contract, remove general cabinetry and storage from the contract, and there was something else in here about the locker rooms. But on page 1 of the horrible conditions of City Hall, it says one of the most apparent issues in the current police facility is the poor conditions of the locker rooms. Both the men's and women's locker rooms need renovations. I don't disagree. But the inequitable difference between them is shocking. The current men's locker room has unsecured lockers, a bench, and a restroom. Well, that's all you would have in the new building.
With these two, that is one of those federal funding sources, actually through the COPS or the burn grant, that only funds furnishings. So we cut some furnishings from the contract so we can get it with another grant. Not saying they're not going to have lockers, we're just kind of shipping it to another grant pool, applying for same grade, police grade lockers, just grant funded through another opportunity.
And how long is that going to take to get approved?
That's usually a year turnaround. No, that's a quick one and does not have to be done at the same time as the bids are certified. So that can be approved next April and installed.
Then what happens if next April, we're here again and we don't have the grant money to do it, and then they just have an open space for a locker room? Then what? It's gonna come out of the city's budget to put them into a locker room.
Or we can continue to apply for those fundings. I think there's plenty other benefits to a new building besides the locker rooms, which are, and as I wrote, deplorable, but that's a small thing that can happen over time. The same with the fencing being removed. That's something that could happen over time, whether that's 3 years from now or 5 years from now, whether we decide it's not really needed. It's something that can be talked about. Maybe the budget does become more flexible, maybe new opportunities come up. We're trying to get this going. We're trying to move as you have asked, but we're also trying to deal within the budget.
I think one of the things about the locker room, just so everybody understands. When they were taking it out, we took it out for the reason that Abby explained, that there's other funding sources for it. But we also said there are different grades of the lockers. What was spec'd out there was the typical police grade, high-end, best that you can get. That's something that can be downgraded, that the police department themselves can tell you what is expected for them to have as far as equipment goes. So it could be downgraded to something else that maybe we would have the money to do it right off the bat. But what was spec'd out was best case scenario.
Same with the storage. You read about the storage and cabinetry, if you will. That was more generally designed for the evidence storage. Now, evidence storage, first of all, with the new building, it's going to be climate control, which it should be by all means, which is not now, things like that. But as far as storage, cabinetry and such as that, we can get by with going to Sam's Club and getting Gorilla shelves. There's 30 to last us. This was spec'd out for a police department for, I don't know if they were rolling storage bins or exactly what it was, but we're stepping back. We're trying to bridge that gap.
And again, I just want to be clear and go on the record as saying, I don't disagree that you guys don't deserve an updated space. And I don't disagree that the locker rooms are in dire shape. However, my concern is that I feel like we're constantly circling. And it's now, we move forward or we redo this building. That's where we're at. So we see positive numbers and projections and get this thing going, or we look into redoing this building.
That's where we're trying to get to, as good as possible.
I'm gonna move item 5B to consideration of rebidding the contracts.
Motion
I will second.
and a second further discussion.
That allows us to move ahead. Till we see new numbers, we're not gonna know.
Well, I'm curious if we give the state reps 30 days, will we know more? You know what I mean?
I feel like at this point, we're over a barrel. Like you either do the building or you get nothing.
Well, the way I'm looking at this right now is Senator Dush came. Again, Senator Dush, we know he has 30 days. I don't know if we'll have 30 days. But if we shut it down today and say no, Senator Dush will not have the ability to potentially bring us back $1 million or anything. So that's a 30-day window. And if Senator Dush doesn't bring back any money, now we're still 3.6 or 3 point, whatever the number would be off. Now we know we don't have the money coming back to help support that. And I would 100% be in favor of doing something with this building to make sure that you, the police station and City Hall would have something that we all could make happen. Does that make sense? So it's not like we're all said and done, like it's a done deal and the City Hall would not get fixed or the police would not have a home. Because I'm guaranteed, just like everybody else, we want it done just as bad as you do. And I was one of the first ones that said we should look back on day one But I didn't want to spend $6 million on this and 7 on another building. We just gotta make sure that it works for the taxpayers and it works for you and those people sitting here that work here. And I do appreciate everything you've done. I mean, you've done everything we have for all this time and I really appreciate that. And I don't want to let that go unnoticed because the work that you've all put in has been outstanding and it hasn't been easy. So I really do appreciate that. Cause I know there's feelings, there's passions, cause I know how much you've labored. But we don't want to just work for now, we want it to work for years to come too, so.
And if I can just speak to the renovations here at City Hall, just so everybody understands the Uniform Construction Code and how it operates. When we originally got the quote from Buchar Horn of, I think, $6.7 million to do renovations.
No, it was 6.7 to build a new building, 6 to do renovations.
I apologize. When we got the $6.0 million estimate to renovate this building, that included renovating the entire building. And that's out of necessity, not by our standards, but by code standards. Once you start renovating, say, for instance, the police portion of the building, there's a percentage of renovations that you get to in a portion of the building that triggers, you now have to renovate to the extent of making everything handicap accessible, code compliant as far as the thermal envelope. So just so everybody understands that even if we had the $2.2 million in the loan money, we still might not be able to do the renovations at this building and not hit that cap where we have to do more than that to this building because of state code requirements.
Is that because the police station is here or the police station was out? Or regardless, if we go to do any remodeling in this place, whether we have the police in or police out?
It's a percentage or a portion of the building, and I'm sorry, I can't speak to those numbers because we have a third party that handles that, but I just wanted to give you the broad overview that once we get to a portion of renovations of the structure, it's not necessarily because it's the police department. It's a threshold of renovations to an existing structure where you have to meet code compliance with other things.
Is that based on timeline? Or let's say something was done 6 months here and then something was done another year later, or is it just a complete
And I think you
overhaul?
can do it in phases, but once you get to that threshold,
Financial threshold?
threshold of how much of a renovation of the building you're doing.
Okay.
Once you get to that threshold, they're gonna say, okay, because you're here, you need to also do A, B, and C. Now, what kind of time frame you have to do A, B, and C, I can't speak to. We would have to check.
Could you find that out
Sure.
at our next one to see what the threshold as far as construction goes, whether it's it's paint knocking down walls or electrical, could you find that out?
Yeah, and cosmetic things don't factor in.
Yeah, but could
But
you,
when you're doing things like, just for example, to make everything that is used by the police station handicap accessible, they have to lower floors in the back. Because you have to go up 3 steps to get to the detective's office and the code enforcement office, which they're gonna look at that and say
Right.
emergency services, they're gonna want them both. So you'd have to lower that floor. Well, to lower that floor has implications with a lot of rooms downstairs. So those are significant changes. I mean,
could,
painting and things like that and redoing flooring, those don't count towards the threshold.
I think that'd be wise for us to look at that.
Any other questions, comments? We have a motion.
Does it cost us money for these folks?
Advertisement. Any other questions?
We should send that up for quote for that end, get somebody to. And look at this building too.
Well, let's look at she has to offer, and, you know, I mean, that doesn't cost us anything to bring somebody in, I mean, you know more than what we know, and you can do some digging, and I mean, then, and then in 30 days, look at that, or the next council meeting. We'll be able to look at that. Cause bottom line, we don't have the 2.1. So if the numbers don't work out, the money doesn't come, we're gonna have to regroup anyhow.
And go all the way back to the beginning of the drawing board because.
Well, you just make it, go get a new loan. You just get a different loan, this is what you're doing, instead of getting the 2.1, you're getting. You do it differently, and if we could do it in phases and make it cost effective and something for you. The police department, whether it's on second floor or this floor, we'd maybe make a committee up and try to make that cost effective and make that work. I mean, to be honest, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I think we gotta be realistic about it all.
I think we just need that opportunity, really working hard.
I understand, and I was hoping that. When we talked in December, it was 3.8, and we knew we had 3.2, now it's.
Yeah.
And it's blown, and I appreciate the offer, the being flexible, I appreciate that, but once again, it comes back down to numbers, and, cause then we're still gonna have a building here that's. Yeah.
Open book.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Clausen,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yeah.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
No. 5C, notice of 2026 sewer invoices to municipal customers.
We have a revised sewer calculations to municipal customers. There was a formula wrong on the one line. So that's in front of you. Just for your information again, and if you have any further questions, our sewer superintendent Dave Sorkin is here as well online.
Five B, draft zoning ordinance, Article 3.
As part of the process to update the city's zoning ordinance and the subdivision land development ordinance. We are periodically reviewing draft articles. They go from the consultant is drafting them, city staff sees them first, then the project steering committee, city planning commission, and finally city council. So, the first articles to get to you are the first ones that were reviewed by all those parties. Which is Article 3, the district's article, and also the draft zoning map. The map will be updated throughout the process, so if you want to continually look at it, I recommend clicking the link on the PDF, it will update automatically. So this is just for your review. They do have minimum lot sizes, setbacks, things of that nature. But the map is kind of the most fun, colorful one. One thing I do want, well, a couple things, I guess I'll point out, that's a little different. Is the riverfront district, which is the light blue along the levee. Something that we have heard throughout the years is our lack of connection with the river. So this district here will allow properties in that along their levee to build higher so they can see over the levee. The max is 65 feet, which is about 6 stories. But of course, that's maximum, so it's whatever anyone's, I mean, you get to 3 or 4 stories and you're seeing over the levee, so that's one of the goals for us there. And then another one I wanted to point out was the neighborhood commercial in the mixed use districts. We kind of, instead of extending the downtown core, we're looking at how our commercial districts spread up through Belmont Avenue. And so first you're hitting the mixed use. And then you're hitting the neighborhood commercial, which gets a little different in character and different in uses, so there's some few differences from our zoning ordinance now. Cindy, I know I told you this morning that you can lead it, so if you have anything to say, add to that.
No, I don't wanna belabor anything or be repetitious with what Abby's brought before you, but this has been reviewed by all the people that she mentioned. We've got a lot of people that are involved in steering committees, focus groups, different people that were interested in it, so we appreciate all that. And but my only thing would be to say to take some time and review this information, and if you have any comments or questions about anything, reach out to either one of us. I may be a little less busy than Abby right now, so feel free to send me any of your questions or concerns. But all in all, I think we're really happy with what we've got so far, because they're really taking into consideration the concerns that they've heard from all of the focus groups and steering committee, so.
I think that one of the things that you can't necessarily tell just by looking at this map either is how much more consistent this map is than how the map exists right now. When we were on our tour around and actually talking about different neighborhoods and what was happening in the different neighborhoods, it was clear that consistency was something that was going to become really important. And I think this map reflects a real vision of consistency, but also of a way for the future for things to develop. You know, adding in a neighborhood commercial use of, something that used to be the case, but is no longer the case. So I just think it's really nice the way that it's much more consistent than the existing map.
And the consultant is taking into consideration too, the newly adopted comprehensive plan that we have and trying to tailor to all the needs that were specified in that as well.
So the point of this is so you don't get a big zoning ordinance in May or June and you have to read through all of it now, so you can have it piece by piece.
This is really pretty. I love colors. Is there a way I can get the old one like this too? So I can like compare and contrast, cause
Yes, but and actually,
the
I was
slide
gonna say, did we send you the link?
Yeah, the
for
link.
yeah, but I did that, but I'm like, I don't know,
it is hard.
it's just hard, like,
Yeah.
cause I try to do it and I'm like, but I really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Clear sheet.
I mean, cause one street here might be here, and I don't know.
Jeff, you can also get on the Clinton County website.
Okay.
GIS mapping, they have the city's zoning ordinance on that as well, if you wanted to, but I can certainly get you a paper.
Yeah,
Do you want something bigger than that?
no, this is good. This is great. I can just look at it.
Cause I was gonna say, I could have John run something off that would be a little bit bigger than that.
Well, I can see.
Only for you, wait a couple of years, but.
I got readers. I see Maple Street right here, but I can't see Maple Street right here.
I have buildings.
Any other questions about the? Right. Thank you. 5E Stage 2 drought update.
With the recent rain, we thought it would be good to update city council and the public that we are still in a stage 2 drought warning after consulting with DEP and the city's engineers. We still have some water infrastructure issues with holding tanks and pumps that need repaired. So we're still dealing with a offset of supply, and there just isn't enough to clear us from that stage 2 yet. Attached to that, we will not be flushing hydrants while we're in this stage 2. And we asked residents, businesses, everyone, all water customers to continue to reduce their usage as well. We know springtime coming up, there would be some spring cleaning, but please remember to not wash your cars or power wash the house or any unnecessary use of water would help everyone and set us up for the long run.
Anything else under unfinished business?
I have none.
Okay, new business. 6A, consideration of relief drivers for Citizens Hose Company and East Side Fire Rescue.
The Lock Haven Fire Advisory Board is recommending 3 drivers to be added to the auxiliary driver list for the fire department. Well, Ryan Coder and Matthew Crook from Citizens Hose and Kevin Hoy from Ford East Side Fire Rescue. And they have all met the requirements needed to be appointed to these positions.
Got a motion?
So,
Or second.
Moved and seconded. Any further questions? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Clausen,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander. Yep. Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
yes,
Councilmember Brandon,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 6B, CDBG Financial Management Plan.
This is the update of the financial management plan for the community development block grant. We had adopted this last year, with recent like annual audits and such. We need to continually update this. You will see that interim city manager is added to city manager or mayor at every instance. So that's what the update was for.
Nothing else changed from the
No.
floor.
Except for, I'm sorry, the finance clerk or administrative secretary shall perform bank reconciliations. We do have some good clerks in the finance office who help out.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Oh, second.
Motion second. Anybody have questions about the motion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Clausen,
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander. Yep. Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
yes.
Councilmember Brandon,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Discussion on the engineering agreement with Clinton County or and engineering.
This I will pass over to Cindy Walker for the discussion.
This is something that city staff and the staff for Clinton County Planning Department have discussed off and on for probably the last couple of years. Basically, what we're asking for is the opportunity to explore a professional services agreement with the county. We have land development, subdivisions, or lot consolidations that go through the planning commission. Those, according to the Pennsylvania Municipalities Code, have to be reviewed by a county agency if one exists. And because one does, and we have the luxury of the county planner also being the county engineer, he does the engineering review for the county. So he is already doing that for everything that comes across the city's board that goes through the planning commission. Now he's reviewing it currently to the standards for the county. He's counting on the technical review to come from somewhere else, which we employ services of Quinn Dobson Foreman. So essentially, we have 2 engineers looking at the same thing, and we're paying one. And we would be paying the county as well, but because it's a professional services agreement and it's among government, they've given us some reduced pricing, an offer to reduce pricing. So we are just asking for permission to continue those discussions and explore more of what might be available to us that we could bring back a more comprehensive presentation to you for review at a later date.
Just looking for consensus on the vote matter. We're okay with that.
I don't have any issue with that. I think that's a great idea. Especially.
Did you have your consensus?
Well, I think
6D, city manager ordinance first reading. Just to give you a little background on this, having met with DCP about the process. They mentioned updating our ordinance before we start the search. It has to go through 2 readings. I got a bunch of information and asked Justin to put something together with that. I talked about this whole process. This is a working document. We have passed on 2 readings. Unfortunately, Justin getting this back to us, I was hoping we'd get back to us last week, so I could send it out earlier than this. But we do have 3 weeks until the next meeting. Anything you see in there that you think should be different or you want to add to it? One of the things that was discussed with DCD was about residency requirement. The possibility of how we could do that, and yet still give council the ability by a majority vote to waive it. So that if we're in a situation that they're a fantastic candidate and they already live within commute distance, they just don't want to do that, we can possibly waive it. And give us some different ideas on how we might be able to do that and still make the residents want to see them live in the city. Not necessarily happy, but perhaps satisfied. But anything else that, this is vague in a lot of ways, but this is the ordinance. What we do with the job description, as long as it doesn't conflict with this, we can be more detailed. And I felt like when I asked Justin to put this together, we want the ordinance to be somewhat vague so that future council wouldn't have to go in and redo ordinances all the time. That way this part was done, we could adjust the job description from there. Was looking to get us to pass on first reading. Again, it can be changed as long as we're not, completely gutting it and changing it. We're fine with, making changes between now and second reading.
I'll move item 6B.
Thank you.
And second.
Motion for and second. Any questions or comments? Again, if you have any questions, whatever, contact me, contact Abby, work through it and then try to get things laid out for a second reading. And get things going so we get the advertising and stuff done. Which, after we do the vote on this. Does anybody have any questions now, or you want to just take your time with it, or?
I'd like to look at it more and do what Dr. Brinker wants to do with the map, compare the two, see what's changed, figure out what we're,
Sure.
what's different, but I would like a little more time.
It's really modeled a lot off of what's in the code for the most part, so really pretty vague overall, I think. So anyways, we have a motion for a second. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Clausen.
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander.
Yeah.
Councilmember Conklin.
Yes.
Councilmember Brinker.
Yes.
Councilmember Brandon.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Which leads to the next topic of during the process, people thinking about put together it says personnel. I think, I talked to Abby after she put this out. Maybe we should call it a hiring committee. We don't want it to come off like it's a council going to get involved in personnel decisions throughout. This is about hiring the city manager. It would not be a continuous committees for this, council would ever go through it again, they do something, whatever they're gonna do. But, again, DCD talked to us about, ideally looking for, I plan to serve on, ideally looking for 2 more people that can get together, because there's gonna be probably daytime things we'll have to do.
I'd be available.
Okay,
I'm available for the day.
all right,
And I would also be available. I work to do that, so.
okay, well, that's 4 of us, so. Well, we don't have to put it down, we're gonna point it, so.
I'm not.
And perhaps what you can do is say it's these 3 people, but maybe have an alternate in the event.
Somebody can't
that
make.
somebody can't make it or
Fair
there's
enough.
someone scheduled.
Thank you
I
for
don't
the
think there's
idea.
any reason not to have an alternate.
Sure. We can look at that for the next meeting. So we can do that. Comprehensive plan.
This is just a flyer for the Clinton County Comprehensive Plan and Greenway Plan update. They recently started their process. I am a member of the steering committee, such beholden to advertise for any surveys that go for the plan. This is an online survey, just a general basis of getting an idea of what people want to see in the county. They have paper surveys available. One of the locations to pick up those surveys and drop them off is City Hall at our front desk. Also at any public library in the county, senior centers, the county building itself. So just an update for you all. Please feel free to respond to the survey, and city residents as well. They're looking to get a lot of responses for this and just build a better plan forward for the county.
Question? Okay, liquid fuels notification.
Or two notifications, one from the liquid fuels, amount of $223,974.49. Will be paid March 2nd. I have not confirmed if we got that yet. I believe so, to hit our account. And then the turn back maintenance, in the amount of $5,400 to be paid the same.
The vacant property registration letter.
This was a letter sent out by our property maintenance officer, Brian Taylor, who is here this evening, in response to our vacant property registration. This was something council acted on in 2024, and now it is being acted on by our property maintenance officer in 2026 and posted some buildings. Brian, would you like to add anything?
No, just that on the 6th, notices were sent to 15 potentially vacant properties, which we're gonna try and verify and start collecting what the city should be getting for having vacant property. And just so that the public knows, this isn't something new. This is just something that we now have the manpower to hopefully enforce better. And there were 15 properties that I identified. I expect that to potentially grow. So I'll take input from anybody that believes, we don't want any vacant property to go unnoticed.
And just a note that the required fee is $350 for a vacant.
And we don't want to register these properties because we want the money. We want to register these properties to kick people in the butt to get them to move to do something with these properties.
Thank you for the work on that. Appreciate it. And the LHV annual inspection report.
This is the William T. Piper Memorial Airport annual inspection. The letters are LHV, which I'm used to using, but it is our annual safety inspection, just report. We always have a few trees to be cut down a little bit, and then so Public Works is taking care of those. We have a plan forward, and then the runway lights are also addressed. Just for your information.
Any questions about that?
The only question I have is how often do we have this inspection? I'm just curious.
It is every year.
Every year, because I just wondered how this tree seemed compliant last year and this year it's not.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah, I'd say it was slope of 3 to 1, that was not compliant for a decade.
I mean, I thought, isn't that interesting?
Was it compliant last year though?
I thought we
Was it
took out all
not-
the trees, I thought we did all the trees last year.
I'm not sure we did. Cause there's no way that would have passed.
And it depends on who the inspector is.
Yeah.
Doing the visual flight stuff. You know, depends on who they are, if they're really doing their job or not.
I will say the trees on the city end as opposed to the Cassidy end are a bit more difficult only because they are on private
Yeah.
property. So we'll make those attempts quickly, and it is possible that an easement might have to be sought, which is
The other thing I was curious about, because it just surprised me, because as a kid, I know that's a long time ago, but it was always done, is the trees on the island side of the airport, and a couple of those are in question. They always used to clear cut those. I don't, I mean, I know they're on private property, but they clear cut that whole area, because I mean, because there was no levee, so the airplanes came right over your car, so. I mean,
Yeah.
Right, you didn't have the displaced threshold there at the levy.
It was a different time,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
but just a thought.
PPL trimmed it
I don't know, they did it work.
Prosecutors didn't get a choice, they just do
Yeah.
it. They love the informant, but.
Yeah, anyway, just, it was just a question when I saw the images, surprised me.
Any other questions on that? Yeah, okay, any other new business?
I have none.
Anybody have any reports from their committees or their authorities that they take part in?
Well, just one that I have from the Clinton County Sewer Authority. Greg Biggs, who was the a representative and chaired that committee, he had resigned. We knew he was living most of the time in Delaware anyway, but he has finally confirmed that. And he's also resigned from the suburban water, and that'll become effective, I think, I don't know if it's Tuesday or Wednesday, but it's this week it's effective, so.
Wow.
So there'll be some reorganizing at the sewer authority, obviously.
Yeah.
And there is no filtration authority meeting this month. There was no business to transact.
And the library murder mystery fundraiser is coming up in April, so if you need tickets, you will want to get those very, very soon at the library.
Date for that.
April 11th and 12th.
Anything else? Yes.
Just one quick thing, spring cleanup, dates are Monday, April 13th, Tuesday, April 14th, Monday, April 20th, and Tuesday, April 21st. All that information is on our website and on our Facebook page, so.
Casey, do items have to be bagged? To be.
The leaves and garden residue must be kept separate, placed in bags or containers weighing no more than 50 pounds and placed along the street or curb or sidewalk by 7 AM each day. Brush or limbs can be tied in bundles.
Thank you.
We need to get this.
No.
Okay.
Okay. I'll talk about that after. See when we're available.
All right. Go to motion to adjourn.